Hello, my loves. Thanks for being here. It's me, Verge, and I'm happy to say that you're joining me here at Divinity Ranch, which is wherever I am feeling like I truly belong, wherever I find myself at the time. A few notes to begin with. I wanted to tell you guys, isn't this cool? It's like a fake tie from the olden times that my dad gave me from my great uncle Jack. Isn't that cool? I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm digging the androgyny of it. And also, because I always love telling you guys about books, and I love hearing when people actually do end up ordering and reading some of the books that I mention, I want to tell you just a couple books I'm reading right now. Some of you may be fans like me of Little Women, Louisa May Alcott. My mom got me this for Christmas just a couple years ago, and Joe, I tell you, my life is always so much better when I'm reading books that are about amazing, strong heroines with outspoken, strong, badass personalities and destinies and sort of heroine archetypes. And The Maeve Chronicles by Elizabeth Cunningham and Little Women have been big books for me in that vein this year. And Joe is basically who I aspire to be. Joe from Little Women, for those of you who haven't read it. So another book that has changed my life that I found in a little book bin in Chattanooga, Tennessee, when I was visiting family, it's kind of it's a symbolic thing to me, because the book that I traded for this was a book on crystals. And I felt like it was time for me to integrate a lot more emotional and relational health into my life. And so this was the book that I left, a book on crystals, and this book came to me. So it's called Conscious Loving, The Journey to Co-Commitment. And it's a way to be fully together without giving up yourself. And this has been one of the most helpful books I've ever read as far as relationships and things that I'm trying to put into practice. And there's also like a lot of fun exercises at the back. This lighting is a bit intense, no? But what I wanted to tell you was actually from another book, and I was, again, just going to voice record about this for myself, but here I am. So I thought maybe it would be a cool thing to share with you. It's from the Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, Gene Key 7, and the gift of that gene key is virtue. And there's a quote that I turned to today, as I often open books, saying, "Tell me what I need to know." I often use books as divination tools. I often use my whole outer world as a divination tool, and sometimes take it too far, I think, letting my mind go in circles. But I opened to this quote that said, "Virtue is its own reward." And that, combined with the wholesomeness of Little Women, there are some things in Little Women where I'm like, ooh, that's a little bit misogynistic, or sort of things about repressing emotions and expressions, especially for women. However, Louisa May Alcott was a badass feminist, and when it comes down to it, the purity and wholesomeness of that story in so many ways really is trying to show I feel the same thing. And it's just saying it in the language of those times, but virtue is its own reward. So maybe I've had one of those days today. It seems like my whole life is like this, honestly, where I don't know where the hell I'm going and why. And it's not that I don't have lots of options, because no matter where I go, I'm offered places to stay, jobs, friendship, community. If there has been one takeaway from my wild way home and going into the wild unknown, it's been that whatever I'm looking for is wherever I am. And I'm looking for home and community and family and a place of belonging. And again, the more frantically my mind tries to search and make plans, the more I'm shown that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I want to let you know that the same is true for you. It doesn't make it easy, though, necessarily. But for instance, today, as I'm trying to figure out to take this job I've been offered in Arizona, or to take up 3 different people who've said I could live with them or on their property, and trying to figure out dog care for when I go up to my younger brother's wedding soon, and all these things. Meanwhile, abundant miracles abound, and I am so taken care of. I am so, so, so blessed, and I want to thank all of you who have helped support me in every way, be it in the physical or energetic realm. Thank you. Thank you for your love and support in every form that it takes. I wouldn't be here without you, and I really mean that. But maybe today seems like such a hard day because I literally have basically driven in a circle, because there are all of these highways in New Mexico that turn into each other and end up leading to each other. And so I'm like, where am I going? Like, what am I doing? Also, I'm not saying it like that. I'm like crying, and my dogs are used to me freely expressing myself. It's amazing to learn. It's been amazing for me to learn to just let myself cry, and how you give yourself over to it and you think it's never going to stop. That's what your mind tells you. However, I found in my crying practice that every time I let myself cry, it comes to its own natural end. And then it's like, oh, I'm just done crying. Where 30 seconds before I was sobbing louder than I've ever sobbed before. And I also think that, Karla talks about that in the book, The Language of Emotions, which is another rec from me, for sure. But when I opened to that quote, virtue is its own reward, I thought, maybe it doesn't even matter. And of course, also with this realization of finding family and opportunity wherever I go, no matter what, I thought, maybe it doesn't even matter where I go. Maybe it doesn't matter what job I take or whose land I live on. Maybe this feeling of knowing that I did my authentic best wherever I went, even if sometimes that was really shitty and I got triggered and I needed to leave the situation, but that was still authentic and true to me. And only I can know that, right? Only we can know that feeling of virtue. What is another way to describe virtue? I mean, I find it somewhat synonymous with integrity. It's knowing that we did the right thing, but right is only relative to our own hearts and inner children and truest selves. And so sometimes, maybe even though everything seems pointless or we seem lost, like I seem so lost right now, and especially did today, physically as well as emotionally and spiritually, maybe virtue is its own reward. Maybe every meaningful piece of eye contact that I had with people today, maybe the people who wrote down suggestions and phone numbers and were given the gift of giving that to me, offering what they had, maybe those knocking on someone's front door and them answering it so kindly and giving me advice, maybe those little synchronicities like meeting 2 women named Penny in one day, maybe even listening to the people at the laundromat go on about how the end of the world is coming very soon and the Antichrist is our vice president, and then have all this proof for all of these things. But me just being there to listen, because that was the story they were making with the synchronicities and details and information that they were picking up. And me just, even though I'm listening and privately thinking, wow, I feel that you're projecting your rage for women and probably unconscious issues with your mother onto our female vice president, or wow, I feel that as a young person, it's so interesting to hear these older people telling me that the end of days is coming within the next 10 years. Lucky for you guys, you got to live your whole life, but I guess I won't. And meanwhile, a part of me is thinking, I feel that you're just projecting, the end as far as your own life onto a whole end of the world. But, that's true for all of us because personally, and who knows, the world could end tomorrow, it could end tonight. I don't think it's ending anytime soon, but I'm going to end pretty soon. All of us are, as far as our physical bodies, not me, like a soul and eternal divine being, but you're right. The end days are coming soon for my body. These bodies usually don't live longer than 100 years. But I didn't need to say any of that because the most important thing for me in that takeaway was listening to these people's, the way that they were putting stories together and thinking, wow, we all get to make our own stories, And just being there to listen, just being there to make connection, like so many molecules binding together as they flow through whatever molecules flow and go through. Maybe virtue is its own reward. Maybe feeling wholesome about connecting with others on a deeper level than whatever specificities we're talking about. Maybe that's why I'm here. Maybe it really doesn't matter where I go. Maybe it just matters to keep feeling that I did my best. And I'm recording this video for you guys after a crying spell, okay? It's not like I always feel this way. However, I do find that the more I'm willing to speak out loud my deepest fears and cry and scream into a pillow or roar out into the mountains, letting those emotions flow freely without necessarily directing them, I do find that I come to a natural cycle where, for instance, I want to record a video right now authentically because I feel so much hope. I feel like maybe this is what it's all about. Just what it is. Maybe I don't have anywhere else to go except where I am. And maybe even though today seemed super pointless to me, to my mind, what are you doing, Virg? You're going in circles. Why aren't you taking that job? You know that that's stability. You know that that's a good way for you to be able to work with horses. You know that you have a friend work. Why are you not going and running to that? And yet my body is just like, no. Here we are, and here we are, and here we are. At this cafe talking to this person, at that cafe talking to this person, on the side of the road talking to these wonderful women, at this RV park talking to this woman, in this laundromat talking to these people. And maybe I'll never understand with my mind why any of that mattered. But somehow it was holy and sacred that we really connected with each other. That I was really able to listen and be listened to, even if I didn't find the answers that I thought I was looking for. Maybe knowing that just our essentialness and the essence that it brings to everywhere it is, that's its own reward. I never have the answers, you guys. The more I am on this journey, the more I realize that the most telling things is the questions I ask. And then finally realizing that even those questions arise less and less as I stop trying to beat the game of life at itself. I'm always trying to figure things out before they happen. I always need to know why. And maybe that's one of my gifts. But I think the final realization of it will be the reason is the thing itself. The reason is the way things are. There is no reason beyond what happened. Like, what was the reason for today? Everything that happened. That journey is its own reward. It's okay that I still don't know where I'm going. Because here I am, and in paradise as usual at Divinity Ranch. I want to show you guys because I think I've shown you guys this before, but it's like my idea that Divinity Ranch is wherever I go. So everywhere I park, I hang this that my best friend drew. One of my best friends, JC, and I don't know if you can see those on my steering wheel. Expect nothing and appreciate everything. Life has no limitations except the ones you make. Also, anyone Dirty Dancing? And my friend Susie, thank you still for this. My love, Susie. Not everything I do in life will please everybody, but whose life am I living? Yours or mine? Good for me to remember. All right, I'm just going to give you a quick show of where I am. I am so proud of Tortigra. She made it. My van is such a badass, you guys. She is such a little badass. Hello, Mr. Meat. Do you want to say hi? Hello, Mr. Meat. She is such a badass. We just came up a really sketchy road. And you can see, I mean, her clearance is pretty good, but she surprises me, and I give her a lot of love and credit because she just amazes me. Anyway, we're out here. There's so much public land. There's so much to be thankful for. And here we are. Here we are. I am totally cared for and supported miraculously. And what did Susie tell me today? She sent me a great Eckhart Tolle quote. That was essentially what I'm saying, because it was like, as soon as you stop trying to figure out who you are or who you're supposed to be, suddenly you realize that you're not anything except what you are. I made that up. That wasn't what the quote said, but that is kind of what I'm saying. Like, I guess in saying virtue, which has the same root word as verge, V-I-R, I'm always looking at roots and sounds like that because, you know, I love words. But it's like life is its own reward. This is it. Also, I want to show you guys my favorite bumper sticker on my van. This is what a feminist looks like. Actually, sometimes it makes me sad because I feel like people can tell that I'm a woman driving my van when I have that. But the cutest thing anyone ever said, why would I not want people to know I'm a woman driving my van? Because I feel safer people thinking that I'm a weird old guy out here in this van. But luckily, I always have my best friends with me to protect me. But one of the cutest things anyone ever said to me, it was so cute. My friend Steve, he was like, oh my goodness, when I was a little boy, I always used to really wonder, what does a feminist look like? What is a feminist? And so he was like, I finally know, which I thought was so cute. Anyway, maybe this video is its own reward. Hi, do you guys see that? That was cool. I think that's a sign. And you know what? Maybe you are your own reward. And thanks for being here with me. I hope that the encouragement is for you to know whatever's going on, this is it. It's perfect, even though it's hard, flawed, sometimes fucked up, and very confusing. Just being here for it and being willing to be here for it, more and more for all of it, that's its own reward. And I'm proud of you.